So, I'm still talking about, I think, I'm on disc 2 of this one now. What?
Is that your water there?
Yeah, you can drink it.
Thank you.
Um,
I'm gonna need it.
I know. It's asparagus mixed with ginger.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm all ready. Get
So,
the back of my head blown off.
Yeah. Marcus Freudenmann, maybe?
That's okay.
Yeah. Cancer is curable. Movie he put out wasn't well received. What makes Gershon therapy work for some but not for all? Look at the cause for each person's cancer, balance that issue, then find a treatment that works. He's an architect with no medical background. 16 standard oncologists are now in their program. It's an online course, detoxification, dependence on protocol, and ignore all the rest. Everything should be integrated, he says. It's only available for health practitioners right now. Practitioner app, trulyheal.com. It took them 15 years to put it together. I didn't know really what they were talking about. Burton Goldberg, the voice of alternative medicine, has written several books on health. He has no knowledge of medicine, but started reading on the subject and was amazed with how much corruption there is. He was awarded an honorary PhD after putting out a well-received book. He enjoys learning about the subject. The definitive guide took him 4 years to write. His cancer book took him 2 years. They each sold almost 1 million copies. Emergency and trauma care are excellent, he says. Prevention is ignored, and or they're totally ignorant on it. And they're guilty of crimes against humanity when it comes to degenerative disease, he says. The medical profession doesn't tell the truth. The oncologist uses sugar to carry the radiologic molecule into the cancer cell to show up on PET scan. They give you cookies and candy when you finish your treatment, feeding sugar to cancer patients. 7.4 pH saliva
They're
cannot
not making that up.
No, it's totally true. 7.4 pH saliva cannot be achieved if you're eating sugar. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. Remove poisons and toxins. You need to use certain product to remove those. BurtonGoldberg.com. That's where you look under research, and it's Dr. Bernardo Mahalka's alkaline diet, and it's free of charge to access that. So just go to BurtonGoldberg.com. It's 22 double pages. Lots of raw food, diet and dentistry play huge roles. Breast cancer, 95% due to oral problems. 50% of other cancers also have oral problems associated. Biologic dentist needs to treat problems. Diet, nutrition, and lifestyle. Geopathic stress, remove every insult to the immune system. You need the help of a competent physician. No chemo as is conventionally used. Since 2002, a genome project can send blood for testing in Germany or Greece to find out which targeted chemo can be used. Biopsy spreads cancer. Look for circulating tumor cells. In US it's not available. He uses BioFocus in Germany. He's had cancer 2 times and been on some special stem cells. Once in remission, check every 2 years to make sure you don't have circulating tumor cells. What works on primary won't work on circulating tumor cells. Sugar to pull chemo into cancer cell, and then hyperthermia. Fractional dose and targeted chemo. Temperature 105 to 107 degrees with few violent side effects. Do mental, you have to want to live. And do the dentistry, you have to do everything. Radiation causes cancer, but it's still done. We should be using thermography, not mammogram. The agency is designed to protect public health is used to protect industry. Take back the government from corporations. The entire structure is corrupt. In 1950, autism was unheard of. Today, 1 in 55 boys now have autism. It's the vaccines, and the CDC knows this, and they lie. The treatments in Germany and Greece are targeted for the individual, not cookie cutter. There's no silver bullet. Need multiple therapies. Quantum physics device to tap into body non-invasively. One person might have cadmium or lead or mercury. Certain tests for certain metals. Today it is impossible to avoid cancer, even if you're vegetarian, and he doesn't believe most Americans can be vegetarian. Ancestral diet evolved to eat lots of meat. 15% of Alzheimer's have Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. The meat is polluted, GMO cause cancer, higher cancer rates around nuclear power plants, thyroid cancer from Chernobyl, strontium-90, the bomb and nuclear power plant. Strontium-90 has the affinity for calcium, and it ends up in the milk. Take back your government from the corporation. So he's saying that the strontium-90, it ends up like from the nuclear bomb, from the bombs and nuclear power plants, it ends up falling down on everywhere. So it goes through the air and it lands on fields. The cows eat the and it ends up in the milk, or whatever. It ends up in the calcium. It ends up in the kale. You know, whatever is high in calcium, it's going to end up there because it has anyway. Take back your government from the corporation. The head of the FDA is on the board of the Cheyenne Company, the largest producer of silver fillings that have 50% mercury in them. Bisphenol A is a major cause of cancer, but every can is lined with it. Beer cans or minestrone soup can raise level of BPA, but by 12,000 times. It goes into prostate or breast and makes the organ heavier and turns into cancer. It's not just one thing, it's everything. Lymph removes garbage. Lymphocytes, good guys. Light beam generator, parasite for elephantitis in breast. I didn't quite know what he was talking about there. Fractionalize molecules and open up, stimulate lymph, massage lymph system, or trampoline. I guess you can get your lymphatic system moving just by bouncing around. We're not only being starved, but poisoned. Suzanne Summers had breast cancer and read Alternative Medicine Definitive Guide, his book, and she decided to treat by using alternative medicine. Cancer Conquest is his film. He's 87 years old. He's been on stem cells for many years. Look for disease before it manifests. Don't wait for your doctor to diagnose you. There are too many false positives with mammogram. Don't use x-rays. And I don't know what I was writing there. Oh, unnecessarily. Which, I mean, you don't really, for me anyway, I go into the doctor and then I get sent for some tests and I'm like, I don't have the strength to say no. And with a lot of people, you're already feeling depleted. You're feeling unhealthy. You need help. And to say to somebody who's already feeling like they can't handle anything, their health is already depleted, that, oh, you got to stand strong and put it, well, you can't. It's unrealistic. When you're feeling down, you're just going to go along with things. Anyway, use European blood tests to see circulating tumor cells. Dr. Murray Susser, MD. He had been a fighter pilot and graduate from University of Pittsburgh with medical degree in 1966. He felt like a lot of the work was lies, so he started looking for alternatives. Everything's an alternative, he says, you know, like one is an alternative to the other, right? There's a lot of information to be found and is available. Take huge doses of intravenous vitamin C, 400 milligrams vitamin C. Chemo's getting better. IPT is a good option. Fool the cancer cells with a low dose. Give insulin to lower blood sugar, and you start to feel sick at 40. The cancer cells are starving, then they'll take the chemo, and you get excellent results. So what they do is it's a low dose chemo, but it's targeted. So that's what the IPT is. Anyway, the immune system may be why we get cancer when immune system fails. Chelation, metal binding, sauna, sweating more out in an hour than peeing out in one day, Lyme disease and toxic infections. Vitamin C is great detoxifier. Treat Lyme with peroxide and vitamin C. Glutathione, they're great detoxifiers. He's more in favor of an integrative approach, on the cutting edge of ancient medicine, he says. He had miraculous result with stem cells, hyperextension injury and back. According to AMA, medical doctors weren't able to talk to chiropractors back when he first went to a chiropractor. But he went anyway, and his back was helped. But I mean, he had to keep going, right? And then in 1998 he got stem cells, and 2 months after he got the stem cells, his back didn't hurt anymore. It helped for 12 years, but now his back is starting to hurt again. Telomere shortens. We can only have 60 telomere divisions in a lifetime. Telomerase. Cancer cells' ability to divide never ends. Someone will figure out how to make it good, he says. He doesn't treat cancer. He treats cancer patients. He likes SET. It'll stop the growth of cancer in some patients. Remedy came from the Ojibwa. He's seen good results with SEAC. Vitamin A and D. High doses have been tried with some good results. Take in no sugar. Wholesome foods. Can eat animal foods, low meat. Diet for a small planet to be sure to get enough essential amino acids. Watercress is high in sulforaphanes, one of the best foods. Sulfur is excellent at fighting cancer. Don't overdo it or you'll start binding iodine. He treats almost all of his patients with iodine. Eat lots of arugula and watercress. Cure is maintenance, is prevention. Oh. Dr. Bradford S. Weeks, MD, has 4 children. Standard of care needs improvement regarding cancer. How are they planning to care for patient while killing cancer? It's a good thing to ask your physician, I guess. The symptom is healing gesture. So the tumor itself is a healing gesture. We feel better after a fever. Cancer can be seen as a healing gesture. If you have cancer, try to think about why you might have it. The immune system wouldn't allow cancer to exist if it were fully functional. The immune system, that is. Inflammation used by immune system to regulate health. He's less worried about the people who have gotten sick a lot than those who have never had a cold. Like James, for example, never got sick. When I met him, I was just amazed because I was sick all the time. I was always catching something, and it just never seemed to, no matter how careful I was, you know, like I wasn't touching my food, I was eating, just pouring it out of a jar into my mouth so that I could avoid touching anything. And I was still managing to get sick anytime I was in public around people. I couldn't help it. So it really taught me to be very hygienic, but when I met him anyway, I was just amazed because he never got sick. Never. It was impressive. But then he got the big sick, so I guess it's a trade-off.
It can be.
Yeah. He's against chlorine and fluoride in water. Not a fan of alkaline water, but one must be well hydrated. Water is an anti-inflammatory. Eat real food. Eat seeds, nuts, beans, peas. Nutrients are concentrated in the seed. Stem cell precursors in the seed husks. Eat raw, organic, and green leafy. Keep the quality and the quantity. In state of Washington, they took his medical license, so he's appealed it now. He's working as a consultant. Sees clients, not patients. If you do chemo, do IPT. Chemo only acts on active S phase. Just giving a little insulin makes the cancer vulnerable, inhibits cancer from kicking out toxins. The tumor is rarely dangerous. Metastasis is dangerous. Cancer stem cell is real target. When the tumor is attacked, it will secrete an inflammatory cytokine to recruit uncommitted stem cells from the mesenchyme to migrate to the injured tissue, the cancer. These stem cells ask the injured tissue what they should become, and then they become a tumor. Chemo and radiation make cancer worse. Anti-inflammatories will stop recruitment of the stem cells. The current oncologist only kills tumors and patients. What are you going to do to treat cancer stem cells? Metformin lowers blood sugar. Aspirin. Sol is black cumin seeds, black raspberry seeds, and Chardonnay grape seeds ground up. He's a big fan of that product. So black cumin seeds, that's kalonji, that's not cumin. Powerful anti-inflammatory. Jason Vale. Less than 20 people in the world had been diagnosed with his type of cancer, and they all died within a year. All who'd had this cancer did either chemo or radiation. So he didn't do chemo or radiation. He had the tumor back, just as big as a grapefruit after a year. Like he'd had it taken out and it just came back. So he went on chemo and radiation together. And after 4 rounds of chemo and radiation, he couldn't walk again. Radiation treatment just on spine, taste buds changed. He detested certain foods, and he started eating sunflower seeds. He stopped the painkillers and treatment and doesn't know what helped. Then he found out about apricot seeds and got a vaccine, and the tumor kept shrinking. Kidney cancer at that point. He had stopped doing the vaccine, but kept going with the apricot seeds. Apricots from God website. He spammed out the info. Sold apricot seeds and video. FTC sent him a letter, and then FDA contacted him and said he was making unconfirmed claims. They got a temporary injunction against him. They wouldn't let him sell seeds. They didn't show up for the hearing. No, he didn't show up for the hearing. He got 4 years, 11 months in federal prison. His mom would sneak him apricot seeds in for him. She went to the vending machine and bought nuts for him and put the seeds in the bag of nuts when she visited him. So that's how he managed to keep getting his apricot seeds, so he wouldn't
Almost
die.
like a death sentence.
They tried, yeah, but
that's amazing.
His mom snuck him in. So
more power to her.
Yeah. Suzanne Summers. It's a Skyped interview that looks all choppy. She did radiation. She did radiation, but knowing what she knows today, she wouldn't do that now. So it's not exactly true that she didn't go for conventional treatment. She did, but she's not thrilled now that she did. But that's the thing. You go with what information you have at the time. And so, like, a woman asked us a while ago, she had a certain kind of cancer, and she was talking to it. It kind of struck us as strange because she just showed up in my mother's living room, and we were like, like, my mom is pretty, she's not like my dad. So my dad was, he really kept to himself. He was like me. He hides away from people, and my mom's not that way, so her door is pretty much open. And so this woman just sits down on the sofa near us, and we're just like, who is this woman? You know, she's not, and my mom wasn't even there at the time, so it's just us, and she just sits down and she starts talking, and I'm like, oh my. So anyway, but it turned out she was permitted to be there, but we did not know.
She'd been invited.
Yeah.
Not just permitted. And I think, you know, she might have been delaying it for days.
She might have been, yeah. I think it was near the end of our visit, and it was probably stressing her out. She didn't know how to approach us,
well,
and so she just burst in and sat down.
No, the thing is, she really burst in, but she could have.
She was stressed out.
She would have been stressed
Yeah.
out, and the thing is, she would have played it over in her mind, and so she was assuming that she knew us already, right?
Oh,
Because we didn't
probably,
know
yes.
her. So, but she's a very nice person.
Yes, she was. And
I'm glad to have made her acquainted.
yes. So she asked us she told us her situation and told us about what her doctors, the oncologists, were telling her she should do, and this and that. And we told her, you should do what your doctor tells you to do.
What we said wasn't wrong.
No.
I mean, if you don't have a plan,
yeah,
you'd better go with
exactly.
plan
and that's
A.
the thing.
You don't have
If you
B.
haven't been, like, I've been studying up for quite a few years now, and I still don't feel confident in knowing which direction to go if something happens.
For any particular cancer.
So
I think
if you don't know, if you don't have it all planned out, plan A is the plan. Because
I took plan A. I wouldn't have survived.
No.
I wouldn't have survived. I think much more in a week because I couldn't drink water. My
But
nausea was so
she
bad.
said to me, I didn't expect that answer. You know, she expected us to have alternative answers for her right off the hop, and if you don't have that all planned out, if you don't already, it's tough to change your diet. Period. It's tough just to do that. And if you haven't done that yet, plan A. That's it.
When I was diagnosed, I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink water. So it would have been a matter of days. You can only go so many days without drinking water. I tried to, but I couldn't keep it down. I'd retch it back up. The nausea was so bad. So the next day, I was on low-level chemo, entry-level chemo called dexamethasone. Hospital food tasted great to me, not just good, awesome. So I'd lost about 60 pounds.
Well, it stimulates the appetite.
Yeah,
that's why.
Big time.
Yeah.
And I was in the hospital for 14 days, and I'm not lying. I put on 15 pounds. I'd lost 60 pounds, and I put on a pound a day. That's the way I was eating. Of course, I was.
He wasn't overweight when he lost the weight. He didn't have it to lose.
I was scrawny.
He was not.
Well, I wasn't scrawny.
No,
before,
you were healthy before, but not overweight.
So already I could see the positive effects of this. It's a steroid, but it's a low level kind of chemo. Very powerful, but low level by comparison with other things. And they initially they were telling me they weren't really wrong. They were saying I was basically terminal. They were saying I had a low chance of my kidneys recovering to take stem cell therapy. And I took stem cell therapy, and some people might be afraid of it. I've taken it twice, and believe me, when I came out of remission, I wanted that stem cell therapy like crazy, because I knew how it had extended my life. The dexamethasone, the steroid, wasn't going to do it. And so they were telling me for a month and a half that I was terminal, that I had 18 months to live. That's over 7.5 years. So that's 6 years and still counting. So that is hard to beat. It's possible there's a plan B that can beat that.
But if you don't have
a plan B, and it's probably a good idea to have a B and a C and a D and stuff like that. This is what we're trying to do, because there's no guarantee that what works on one cancer is going to work on another. I'm afraid cancer is a little bit like viral disease or bacterial disease. There's no one cure for all the viral diseases. There's no one cure for all the bacterial diseases. And I suspect it's the same sort of thing with cancer. It's a suite of type of diseases. And so that's why I'm really grateful Pauline is doing this stuff, because
it's really hard for me though.
I know. After I got recovered from stem cell therapy the first time, I knew I should be researching this kind of stuff.
It's just so hard.
But I couldn't. I didn't have the strength to do it. I just didn't want to think about the cancer. And in some ways, you don't want to think about it. That's one of the reasons why I was able to recover, I think, was because I didn't let it. I didn't dwell on it, and it didn't drag me down. I was thinking about things that I wanted to live for, not having to fight off this beast that had got not on my back, but right literally in my back, bone marrow cancer. So it's tough. I've gotten to the point where I can hear Pauline read it, and I'm going, it's more of an abstraction, and it helps that I've actually. Been not, you talk about recovery, and sometimes that's just stabilized at a low level. But
but I have to
I've
get
recovered,
the information
and I have
somehow.
kept on getting better.
For
like my back's the best it's been for 8 years and something like 4 months, and I think that's.
I know, but I have to read this stuff. I have to get it to you so that you can make a plan B, a plan C.
It doesn't bother me. I still don't like thinking about that much.
I know.
But it's more a question of I've got other things to do, to live for. But it's like here, like when you're eating, you can't be devoted to doing research or data entry, and you might as well go through it. But I appreciate you going through all this stuff. It's amazing how much stuff you've gone through.
Anthroposcopic medicine, Iscador. She injected Iscador from Switzerland. Our food has been hijacked. It no longer is nutrition enough to support our bodies. She no longer gets mammograms.
Those sound like a really bad idea. Yeah.
She uses Nick Gonzalez's protocol as preventative now. She doesn't want cancer again. Pancreatic enzymes, coffee enemas, and a diet appropriate for your genetic code. Coffee enema goes back to ancient Egypt. Do it every day to clean out liver. Takes 80 enzymes per day. She does, Suzanne Summers. In between meals, the pancreatic enzymes digest the protein on the cancer cells. She's not a raw food. She doesn't have a raw food diet. She's a moderate vegetarian, which is not vegetarian at all. But she eats a lot more vegetables than most people who eat meat do. So she can eat the occasional steak and chicken. She had leaky gut before cancer. And
What type of cancer? She had breast cancer.
She had breast. And
see, like,
they
I
say
really
leaky
think
gut's a
lot of
precursor.
this-
Yeah, that's what they're thinking. That
my
a lot of
suspicion
the
is it's not a precursor. It's actually what allows, like this is just
that allows the cancer in.
I think
Yeah.
cancer is not what it's been portrayed. I think it's
No.
actually communicable. It's just we don't see cause A connected to cause B directly enough.
Yeah.
It might be from what I read, in some cases 3 decades before it starts working around in your system and stuff
And
like
I think
that.
a lot
and
of it
hijacks the person's cells.
Yeah.
And it basically becomes the people's cells. It basically just invades them and stuff like
Yes.
that. It's like a hermit crab. The cell is the shell.
Oh, I
but
agree. James and I have talked about this before, and we think that people are for the large part eating their cancer. That's how they're getting it. It's because if you think about the livestock industry, a lot of those animals, they're grown quickly. They reach harvestable size too fast, and it's unnatural, actually, the way that they're produced, and it's unhealthy, and so the animals have cancer, and we end up eating their circulating cancer or their tumors. So
they'll talk about
leaky gut, it goes right in.
Pre-cancer. Well, that's really cancer. It just hasn't taken off. So apparently they will. I don't. Do they do an autopsy on a cow? They say they don't take cancer. That's got to be just propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. Because they couldn't possibly see it if they can't detect it in people. They know that James has cancer right now. The oncologists know that he has cancer.
And they can check.
He's in technical remission, but they keep checking for it. They know it's there, but they can't detect it. They know with his type of cancer, they can't detect it. They don't have the equipment.
It's got very low levels, and if you eat enough meat, and if you get it into your system, the thing is, it's generally going to go through your system, but there's going to be a time when your immune system is compromised. You're going to have a bad infection, or maybe just a regular infection, and all of a sudden your immune systems get lowered. They're being challenged, and it's like opening up a gate.
Yeah, it could happen anytime.
And the stuff's been lurking around outside the moat, and all of a sudden the gates open, the drawbridge is down, and they come in, and it just takes a few, and they start whacking your healthy cells.
I'm just going to start this again.